Hey guys, it's Padami and this is my support guide on Leona. Leona's passive is called Sunlight. Leona's spells charge an enemy unit damage with sunlight for 3.5 seconds. When allied champions deal any damage to those targets, they consume the sunlight debuff to deal additional magic damage.
Rally to me.
As you can see here, when Leona activates the spell, she will start to glow. When she hits a target, they will glow as well, showing that her passive is on them. Leona's Q is called Shield of Daybreak. Leona's next basic attack will be a Shield Slam, dealing additional magic damage and stunning the target for 1.25 seconds. Leona's W is called Eclipse. Leona surrounds herself with a shield of sunlight, gaining bonus armor and magic resistance for 3 seconds. When the effect ends, the shield bursts, dealing magic damage to enemies within range of her. If Eclipse damages any enemies, the bonuses remain for additional 3 seconds. Leona's Z is called Zenith Blade. Leona projects a solar image of her sword, dealing magic damage to all enemies in a line. Leona will dash to the last enemy champion struck, briefly rooting them in place as she travels.
Stay at the
Leona's ultimate ability is called Solar Flare. Leona calls down a beam of solar energy to a target location. After a short delay, it deals magic damage to all enemies within a 250 range and slows them by 80% for 1.5 seconds. Enemies within 100 range are stunned for 1.5 seconds instead of being slowed. For my wins, I take 3 greater quintessences of health, 4 greater seals of health, 5 greater seals of armor, 9 greater marks of armor, and 9 greater glyphs of scaling magic resist. Instead of the scaling magic resist, you can also take 3 flat glyphs of magic resist and then 6 greater glyphs of cooldown reduction, or you can also swap the cooldown reduction glyphs for some mana regen. For my masteries, I go 0, 21, 9. In the defense tree, I take 2 in block and 1 in unyielding to reduce incoming damage, as well as 2 points in enchanted armor for the bonus armor and magic resist. 3 into veterans tiers, which goes into juggernaut for the increased health. 1 point in oppression so that I take 3% less damage from enemies that have impaired movements. 3 points in hardiness for bonus armor, which then goes into reinforced armor for reduced critical strike damage. 3 points into Perseverance, which gives me 1% health regen every 5 seconds, and second one, which increases my health regen by 10% when I'm below 25% health. 2 points in Legendary Guardian, which gives me bonus armor and magic resist for each enemy champion near me, and Tenacious, which reduces crowd control effects by 15%. In utility, I take 1 point in Fleet of Foot for some movement speed and 1 point in Scout to increase the cast range of trinket items by 15%. 3 points in Meditation for mana regen, which goes into Strength of Spirit for health regen, and 3 points into Summoner's Insight to reduce my summoner spells by 10%. I built this mastery page on very early aggression. Using the runes and masteries, I have 51 armor and 36 magic resist at level 1, with 9 health and mana regen per 5 seconds. Using my Eclipse spell, I have 77 armor and 58 magic resist at level 1 to 3, excluding my items. It gives you a massive potential for early level engages and can turn you into a great lane bully. Okay, so let's look at items for Leona. I buy Relic Shield, 1 health pot and a ward with the warding totem, or I take 3 health pots instead of the ward. On my first back, I would buy a Ruby Crystal, which would then turn into a Sightstone, and then buy my Cheaper 5 upgrade to a Tarragon's Brace, and then into Face of the Mountain. Boots wise, I would either buy Tenacity Boots or Ninja Tabbies. You don't need Boots of Lucidity as a lot of support items already have cooldown reduction, and buying Mobility Boots seems inefficient. You may have better movement speed when out of combat, but as Leona, you're going to be the player up front being poked down and taking damage, so the Mobility Boots bonus would hardly be used. Aegis, Locket of the Iron Solari, Brandwinds and Frozen Heart are all really good items for Leona. You can also try Righteous Glory and the Zero Portal. Just remember to always think about what your team needs and then adjust your items build to that. Here are my tips and tricks to Leona. Number 1 is use Eclipse after you engage on an enemy to surprise them. Number 2 is that you can use Zenith Blade to trade places with an enemy champion. Number 3 is that you can use Flash on an enemy and then use Shield of Daybreak as a form of a reliable engage. An extra tip for you guys is that you can kill wards with Leona using an auto attack, Shield of Daybreak, and then auto attack combo. In matchups, Leona is good against Blitzcrank as she can body block a lot of his spells and can engage on the opposing AD carry if she gets pulled in. Sona and Soraka don't have very much in terms of escape, so Leona can pin both of them down really well. Leona can struggle against champions like Janna and Morgana as they both have spells that can easily disengage from her. If you have a Karma or a Lulu in the opposing support, you should always be careful of their poke potential. Thresh can also counter Leona's engage with his Flay, but if he misses then it gives Leona an open window to engage. Leona synergizes well with marksmen who have dashes such as Greaves, Corki, and Lucian. If Leona initiates onto an enemy and then Jinx pops her grenades on top of them, the enemy champion can be locked in for a lot of time. It's the same if Leona engages and stuns the target, it can leave a Bane to proc her true damage buff and maybe position a good condemn. If you're playing Leona with a Caitlyn or an Ashe, you need to remember that their auto attack range is a lot higher, so if you engage, they need to be prepared beforehand to move upwards, or otherwise, they will waste time trying to get into auto attack range while you're in the enemy's faces. Thanks for watching, guys. Toodles! 1v1 me. Wow, finally, why don't you? Wow, the auto attacks. Don't have range. What? Oh, the miss. I'm gonna win this. I have a surfboard. Nope. Oh.
Chosen of the sun.
Mistakes were made. Yeah, you run. Yep. Yep. Oh, wrecked! Wrecked!
The sun always rises.